After having dealt with the detailed explanation of the poem Birches by Robert Frost, let us now take a look at the themes. Theme of the joy of childhood. Birches explores children's ability to find joy and wonder in everyday life. The speaker contemplates ice covered birch trees that have stooped to the ground, imagining that they are bent because a young boy has been climbing them, jumping off while holding their thin uppermost branches and then drifting slowly back to the ground. This, the speaker imagines, is what the young boy does to entertain himself when he is on his way to care for his family's cows, a task that would otherwise probably be boring and mundane. In this way, the poem becomes a celebration of youthful spontaneity and joy. Qualities that the poem implies are no better embodied than by imaginative and carefree children. The speaker particularly admires how children are able to find ways of having fun even when they are in seemingly boring circumstances. For example, the speaker imagines that the boy swinging from the trees lives too far from town to play baseball, meaning that he is left to his own devices to keep himself entertained. This, however, does not stop the boy from fully enjoying life. Instead of mindlessly completing his chores, means his daily tasks to be done, the boy finds an inventive way of harnessing joy, turning to his surroundings and finding a way to thrill himself by swinging on from the trees. This childlike ability to squeeze happiness and excitement out of life, the speaker implies, is a marvelous thing. What's more, the speaker subtly suggests that these kinds of life experiences are not just fun, but important parts of the coming of age process. He learned all there was to learn about not launching out too soon, the speaker says, suggesting that the boy knows not to jump before reaching the flexible part of the tree, since this might cause the tree to snap when he jumps, thus sending him plummeting to the ground. On a broader level, this teaches the boy how to seek excitement and thrills safely, especially since the idea of not launching out too soon can be applied to many areas of life, ultimately emphasizing the importance of patience and thinking things through. That is, think before you act, in other words. In turn, the speaker applauds the children's ability to enjoy life, while also insinuating, means hinting, that this process of having fun is an essential part of growing up, since it informs the way children learn to navigate adulthood. The theme of tedious reality of adulthood. The speaker frames adulthood as mundane, stressful, and bogged down by boring details and responsibilities. This is why the speaker covets, means strongly desires, the imaginative period of childhood, when it is easier to ignore the drudgery, means the boringness of everyday life, in favor of a more inspired, fun loving outlook. In turn, the speaker implies that the humdrum realities of adult life chip away at people until they no longer stop to enjoy the world in creative, spontaneous ways. Even though the speaker knows that the birch trees are bent because they are covered in ice, the speaker prefers to think that a boy has been swinging through them and causing them to droop. This in turn is a sign that the speaker is nostalgic for childhood and wants to ignore the boring details of everyday life. The speaker is well aware that a boy swinging from the trees would not actually bend the wood in this way, yet still says, I should prefer to have some boy bend them, revealing an intentional effort to deny reality. The speaker demonstrates a desire to view the world with excitement and wonder instead of always thinking logically. Of course, it is not always so easy for the speaker to view the world this way. Indeed, the speaker wants to imagine a child swinging through the trees but ends up launching into an extensive account of how ice builds up on branches. The speaker describes this as truth breaking in and interfering with this fantasy, an idea that shows how hard it is to prioritize imagination over reality as an adult. To prioritize means to do to rather first do what is more important. This then suggests that the speaker is literally unable to ignore reality in favor of a more exciting, whimsical worldview, especially since it isn't until after this long winded description of icy branches that the speaker finally imagines a cheerful child having fun in the woods. Consequently, readers see that even the speaker, who actively wants to escape the boring details of the real world, feels the pull of logic and reason, which distracts from more fun, imaginative perspectives. Nonetheless, the speaker hopes to somehow regain a light-hearted, creative worldview. With this in mind, the speaker dreams of going back to be the kind of person who swings through trees. However, something is standing in the way, the boring but inarguable facts of reality. In keeping with this, the speaker is most likely inhibited by old age, since it's undeniably hard for frail old people to shimmy up trees. What is more, there seems to be some kind of emotional block keeping the speaker from acting spontaneously. Perhaps because adulthood has stamped out the speaker's will to seek out thrills or childish delights. Either way, what is clear is that adulthood has changed the way the speaker moves through the world, making it harder to set aside practical considerations in favor of excitement, joy, and pleasure. The theme of death, spirituality, and escape. In some ways, the speaker appears ready to embrace death, expressing a certain willingness to leave behind life behind. And yet, the speaker also rejects the theoretical allure of heaven in favor of the pull of earthly life. It becomes clear that the speaker longs to express the transcendent feeling of escape that death would provide, but doesn't ultimately want to give up the pleasures of being alive, and with it, the possibility of again experiencing love, wonder, and joy. In some way, there is a kind of contradiction in the mind of the speaker. He wants to give up this life, but he wants to also remain alive and enjoy it. The speaker uses simple metaphorical imagery to illustrate the desire to escape life as it is. Throughout the poem, the speaker talks about a young boy climbing birch trees and then sailing to the ground after reaching the flexible treetops. For the most part, the speaker talks about this in order to demonstrate the extent to which children are capable of finding joy in life. However, the idea of climbing a tree only to be set back down on the ground after reaching the top is also a metaphor for the desire to get away from the speaker's own current existence, while also knowing that this escape will not be permanent. In keeping with this, the speaker says that it would be nice to get away from earth for a while, that is, only for a short time. This suggests that the speaker would not mind being removed from everyday life, which has perhaps become monotonous, meaning dull and boring, and unrewarding in the speaker's old age. However, the speaker apparently has no interest in leaving life behind in favor of an afterlife, as evidenced, means as proved by the fact that the speaker only wants to climb toward heaven, not actually to heaven. As such, it is clear that the speaker wants the cathartic and liberating feeling of escaping adult life, but is completely uninterested in any kind of true death or religious transcendence. Transcendence means going beyond the present, since this would mean permanently giving up earthly existence. Remember, he does not want to die, something the speaker has no intention of doing. After all, the speaker thinks that life on earth is worth sticking around for, saying, "Earth is the right place for love. I don't know where it's likely to go better." Although the poem does not focus on love, this assertion showcases the speaker's belief that earthly life is full of good things like love that are worth living for, even when one yearns to leave other aspects of life behind. What the speaker is after, then, is not death, but the opportunity to get some distance from the drudgery of life so that the beautiful parts of existence, like love or childish wonder, can be experienced anew. That would be good both going and coming back, the speaker says, confirming the impulse to both leave life behind and regain it. A dynamic exemplified by a flexible birch tree's ability to give one the satisfaction of climbing and descending at the same time. Now, the symbols of the poem. First, swinging from birch trees. The poem centers around the act of swinging from birch trees, an act that symbolizes the youthful ability to find joy and excitement in seeming ordinary, unremarkable circumstances. This ability to seek out joy is a gift that adults have trouble embracing, as evidenced by the fact that the speaker, who actively tries to resist the boring details of everyday life, goes on a long rant about the real reason the birches have stooped, talking extensively about ice building up on the branches. That the speaker has trouble even just imagining a boy swinging from the birches suggests that the many considerations of everyday life make it hard for adults to move through the world with the same kind of wonder and excitement as fun loving children. The act of climbing and swinging from birch trees not only stands for youthful joy, but also the speaker's desire to recapture that joy. So was I once myself a swinger of birches, the speaker says, and so I dream of going back to be. In turn, readers see that the speaker views such behavior as a way to reignite a sense of spontaneity and happiness that, unfortunately, the poem implies diminishes as people grow older. In other words, climbing birch trees is a way to escape the tedium of adult life, therefore representing the speaker's desire to transcend ordinary, unimaginative circumstances. Now let us look at the poetic devices and figurative language used in the poem Birches by Robert Frost. First, alliteration. The speaker uses alliteration in small moments to enhance the sound of the poem's language. For example, take the first line when the speaker alliterates the loud B sound. Alliterates means repeats. When I see birches bend to left and right. This moment of alliteration creates a strong but somewhat staccato or choppy rhythm. In turn, the alliteration accentuates, means increases, the poem's meter, since both of the prominent B sounds land on stressed syllables, thereby strengthening and establishing the iambic rhythm da dum that will run through the rest of the poem. It also simply draws attention to the poem's most important image, that of the bent birch trees, weighed down by the leftovers of an ice storm. Next is metaphor. The speaker uses metaphor vividly to describe the ice-covered trees. When, for example, the speaker discusses the way ice looks when it falls to the ground from these trees, the ice itself is described as heaps of broken glass that have shattered, means broken into tiny pieces, and fallen from the inner dome of heaven. In other words, the sky. Consequently, the speaker associates the otherwise mundane image of ice falling to the ground with something much more grandiose and divine, namely the inner dome of heaven. All in all, then, the ice itself takes on metaphorical meaning, since it becomes clear that the speaker sees it with a sense of awe and appreciation. As such, it is reasonable to conclude that although the speaker later rejects spirituality and the idea of going to heaven, the speaker's profound appreciation of the surrounding world is, in many ways, simply a different kind of spirituality, one rooted in nature and real life. More broadly, the speaker's description of climbing birch trees turns into an extended metaphor that defines the entire poem. This becomes especially clear when the speaker says that the boy learns about not launching out too soon, learning to maintain his poise when climbing the trees. This suggests that enjoying life and seeking out thrills can actually be very informative. Accordingly, the entire act of climbing birch trees as a child takes on metaphorical significance, since it becomes a way for the speaker to talk about the boy's coming of age process. Coming of age means growing up, or in other words, gaining puberty. I hope you understand what is puberty, or you look it up in the dictionary. In the same way that the boy has to learn to be patient and cautious while climbing the birches, he will have to learn to be level-headed and controlled in life itself. What is most interesting about the birch tree metaphor, though, is that it changes ever so slightly as the poem progresses. In the middle of the poem, the speaker uses the metaphor to illustrate the ways in which childhood joy can lead to valuable life lessons. By the end of the poem, however, the speaker uses the act of climbing birch trees until they stoop to the ground as a metaphor for the speaker's own desire to experience the feeling of escaping everyday life without fully leaving it behind. The image of a person climbing a tree only to be set back down on the ground is very circular, and this sheds light on the fact that the speaker wants to transcend, means go beyond, go above the mundane realities of life on earth, which also getting to experience them while also getting to experience them anew, means all over again.